Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, a fake immigrant crisis. Also, the court puts a hold on SB 1. And lawmakers are getting a big pay raise.
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
Yeah.
A pay raise? What did they do? All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, columnist and investigative reporter at APR. Welcome back, Josh.
Good to see you.
Hey, y'all. How you doing?
We missed you last week.
Good, yes, we did.
And
I appreciate
I'm sure
that.
your fans did as well. All three of them.
Hurtful.
Yeah,
Very hurtful.
Very hurtful. Very hurtful. You know, I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm just disappointed in our citizens because we have legal Haitians in this state and in this nation that came here looking for a better life, and they are being vilified. They're being lied about, and it's just overtaking the state and the nation with this absolute lie. And Josh, you wrote a story this week on how, and we've looked at this, there's nothing going on in Athens, there's nothing going on in Silicaga, there's nothing going on in any of these places. Albertville, we were just in Albertville this week, nothing wrong up in Albertville. But you did a story on the situation in Silicaga. And it turns out it's just another bunch of lies.
Yeah. You know, man, Steve Marshall, our Attorney General, went up to Talladega County to talk to the law enforcement officials up there to get a handle on what's going on with these Haitian immigrants that everybody's all worried about. And as even Steve Marshall come to find out, not much. It seemed like everybody had a handle on it. They knew where the things were. First of all, there was only 60 people that we're talking about here. Okay. And, and this is what always troubles me about this whole thing is whenever somebody starts talking about this, I always consistently remind them, these people were invited here.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not, they didn't just come here. They didn't just, trek over here for looking for a better life or whatever. We sent out a call and said, hey, we have job opportunities if you would like them here that Americans are not filling. They're choosing not to work at these factories, at these jobs. If you would like to fill them, we can get you a work visa. You can go through this program. You can come here. And these people accepted that and came here. And now we're vilifying them for taking the offer that we extended.
Well, you know what we found when we were in Albertville last week was we found a Haitian restaurant there.
Yeah, we did.
And then came to find out there are two.
There are two.
So not only are they, have immigrated here on invitation, they're actually improving the economy of Albertville by opening up opportunities for people to work, paying taxes on the corporations and such.
And the only reason we didn't eat there is because we were there too early.
We were there too early because we were going to eat lunch there.
And I remember the folks that we met beforehand were talking about, oh, please let us know how it is. We'd like to go down there sometime and eat. But they are not doing anything illegal. No one's proven that they've done anything wrong. They're not eating dogs. They're not eating cats.
I checked the menu just to make sure.
There were no dogs and cats.
Yes.
But what they are, and Josh, they're black. That's the problem. They're black.
Yeah, well, they are black, and also they come from a different country. And whenever they come from a different country, we have so many people who have isolated themselves here, who are so ignorant of the world outside of really state borders, much less the country's borders. They will believe most anything. It's why the migrant caravans coming from from Central America are such great scare tactics every 2 to 4 years for Republicans. And, this is what they are doing. They are using these people as boogeymen, essentially, to scare grown people. It's honestly, it's the same stuff that kids used to do to one another around a campfire at camp, and they're still doing it to win votes.
But the problem is these people's lives are in danger. There are vigilantes. They're out there threatening people, threatening violence on them. They've had to, like in Springville, they've had to close the schools because of bomb threats and all of this sort of mess. And nobody's taking any responsibility for that.
I mean, former President Trump keep stirring this
and J.D.
thing.
Vance.
They keep stirring it up to cause hate and fear so they can get votes. And, some of our top officials in the state are doing the same thing. They're claiming they're spreading AIDS. They are, a menace on the community. You know who hasn't said anything negative? Governor Kay Ivey.
No, she hasn't uttered a word.
She hasn't said a word. And you know what? If there was a problem, I think the governor would have said something about it. But there you go. I mean, we move from that to the fact that the women of Alabama Voters League, Women's Leagues, how do I say the League of Women's Voters?
There you go.
Boy, I'm getting my words mixed up, right? The League of Women Voters.
We'll get some letters over that.
Yeah. I was worried about them eating the dogs, to tell you the truth. I talked to my dog this morning, and she's very concerned about that. But not then. The League of Women Voters of Alabama held a conference this week, past week, where they looked at all the issues facing the libraries, where they're banning books, they're again vilifying others, and they just are trying to say, hey, can we not have this? Isn't it enough that our children are being put in the crosshairs of this culture wars rather than allowed to learn and to read books and enjoy their childhood? Now, of course, our lawmakers want to protect all the children, they say, but I don't believe them.
But, they not only are in the crosshairs of this, also in the crosshairs of a lot of guns in the schools. But, seriously, it's not like, it's almost as like these people that want to ban books want to ban that part of society.
Yeah.
And it's not going to go away. I'm sorry. I know you don't like it, but go sit in your corner somewhere and shut up. Because the rest of us are kind of fine with it, if you don't mind.
Well, and Josh, shouldn't this be a parental decision anyway? I mean, we only got about 40 seconds, but shouldn't it really be up to the parents to raise their own children? We don't need the government to do that, do we?
No, we need people to mind their own damn business. And that's what we need people to do, seriously. And, listen, I personally have a 6-year-old is going to grow up in the school system. I would like for her to go to the libraries, and I would like for her to read about all sorts of different people, and understand the things that are out there, the dangers, the sexual assaults that may occur, the problems that come from being LGBTQ, and how she can better understand her friends and classmates in these schools as she goes along and navigates life. And so I want that. I'm fine if you don't want that. But you can't dictate to me where the books are, okay? You can't dictate that the books aren't in the same library that I use for my kids the same way that your kids want to use them. You know what? Watch your kids, man. Mind your own damn business.
Well, I think no.
Well said.
No wiser words have ever been spoken than mind your own damn business.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. Yeah. All right, we'll leave it right there. You're watching The V. We'll be right back.
My personal biggest pet peeve is kids who are not properly restrained, whether that be in a booster seat, a car seat, or even a simple seatbelt. Kids, they become projectiles, and it's terrifying.
It absolutely breaks my heart to know that something so innocent could be punished so severely.
Your children rely on you to be that person that says, no, you need to put your seatbelt on.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. This one is so amazing. Back in 2012, the Alabama legislature, led by Republicans, were trying to get a pay raise. They wanted to raise their pay, but they were afraid that the voters would get mad at them and give themselves raises. So Susan, you and I were there when they did this clever thing. They voted to tie their pay to the median average income in Alabama. So if people in Alabama were doing better, then the lawmakers would do better. Now, I don't remember any provision for it going backwards, but again, this coming in January, our lawmakers will be the highest paid lawmakers, state lawmakers in the United Nations that are part-time. $62,000+ a year for a part-time job that half of them, this is probably all they live off of because this is the best job they've ever had.
Yeah, and back in 2012 when this happened, it sounded really good. It sounded really, because they actually took a pay cut when it was first initiated. So that looked good. Like, well, they're getting on the level with everybody else. And I remember it very well. Now, in 2024, they got the household incomes went up by 10%. So they were at $59,674. Now it's going to be, starting this next year, $62,212. The closest, by comparison to any other state, is Arkansas, and they're only making $44,000, which is what Alabama legislators were making back in 2012.
Josh, they just barely got shoes over in Arkansas at $44,000. I mean, come on, man. The highest paid 2-year, the part-time lawmakers in the nation.
Listen, man, you know what? You get what you pay for.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Oh, wait.
No.
That's the wrong analogy. I'm sorry. That's not the right. You know what's amazing to me? What's amazing to me is for all of the bumbling, for all of the stumbling, for all of the stuff that, oh man, we just can't get that done. Oh, just a narrow miss on that. Oh my goodness, what are we doing here? We somehow managed to come up with very clever ideas to pay ourselves more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Figure.
It's always amazing how that works out for them, right?
Yeah.
But now, listen, it's we're not doing anything. We're not doing anything with these guys. This is a travesty. The fact that they're making $18,000 more than anybody is messed up. And the fact of the matter is, they could rightfully deny this if they wanted to. They could turn it down.
I mean,
they're not going to, but they could.
They didn't want anybody to really notice it. They thought they would do that, and it would just kind of go under the carpet, and everybody say, "Oh yeah, it's fair."
We've got some great people down there. We've got some good people. But $62,000 a year for what they do, I don't buy it. I mean, there's some of them that I wouldn't allow to stock moon pies and RC colas at a Wabaho. They're just that dumb.
Yeah,
but they fool people into electing them because they had an R by their name, and everything's been so gerrymandered. All you got to get out there and say is, I love Trump. I'm going to build a wall at the border that doesn't connect with Alabama.
Right.
And I hate immigrants, and I hate this, and I hate that, and I want guns in every school in the hands of teachers, custodians, principals. Let's just arm everybody. And they get elected. No thought. No ideas about how to make life better for individual Alabamians.
Well, that's okay, because I'm coming up with Susan's 2026 legislative agenda.
Oh, you have a Project 2026, a Susan's Project
Susan's
2026.
legislative agenda 2020. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I have the concept.
Oh, you have a concept,
of
an agenda. Yes. Josh, what do you think? A concept of agenda?
Well, we all need concepts of a plan, Bill. And once you have the concepts of a plan, maybe one day you can have a plan. But it's you're right. They don't. This is what I wrote about the immigrants this week. The vilification of people is their platform, is their policy ideas, this is what's happening. And you're right. This is how these folks have gotten elected. They've sucked people into these culture wars, into this nonsense, into these national political issues, and they have ignored local issues. I'm talking about voters. Voters have ignored local issues in favor of voting for this national nonsense. And then they turn around and they spend all day long complaining and whining and moaning about why things aren't better where they live, why the roads aren't fixed, why they can't have decent schools, why they can't have all of these things that other people have. It's because you're falling for this nonsense all the time, and you're electing dummies that only know how to give themselves raises.
Well, and it's just disappointing that they keep giving themselves these raises, and they don't lift anybody up. No. And that's the problem that we have. Next one here I want to talk about is, ALEA, the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, put in a rule that said that if you're a transgender individual, you cannot change your sex on your driver's license. The only way you can change the sex on your driver's license is to have reassignment surgery. And then they have to give them proof from a doctor and all that they've had the reassignment surgery. Now, other states don't have this. We do. The circuit court recently just upheld that. So if you are transgender, you're going to have a license that say you're either male or female, even though you identify as the other. But this is a mixed bag for me, and I think you and I talked about it. It's kind of a mixed bag for you.
It is a mixed bag for me. I really and I thought, well, there could be situations where, let's say, the person is in an accident, and the ambulance is calling in. I've got a 34-year-old female, and then when they get to the ER, it finds the 34-year-old male. So I contacted one of my favorite physicians and said, if this was a situation, would this cause a problem? And the answer was no. I tried to think of any...
So it's not a problem.
It's not a problem.
Okay.
I tried to think of anything that could be a problem. The only problem I could see is if it was a transgender female has male on the license when they're pulled over by a police officer.
Yeah, and Josh, again, we got about 30 seconds. I just don't know why the state has to make this an issue.
What does it matter?
Yeah, I don't know either. Again, I kind of think it goes back to the mind your own damn business thing. But also, I also think that there is a problem when you're pulling over someone who is identifying as a female and who is dressing and looks like a female. Yeah. And then you have a license that says male, or let's say someone commits a crime and you're out searching for a male. And that sort of thing. To me, is the bigger issue, than simply wanting to have the right sex on here. Yeah. It's almost like there's this game of, well, we're going to own the libs over this thing here, regardless of what the realities are facing law enforcement officials and emergency responders. And so I think that, to me, is the bigger issue that people should think about, is what do you want those folks to encounter, or how do you want to live? I mean, it's just I don't know. I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, it's a complicated issue. We're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics.
My personal biggest pet peeve is kids who are not properly restrained, whether that be in a booster seat, a car seat, or even a simple seatbelt. Kids, they become projectiles. And it's terrifying.
It absolutely breaks my heart to know that something so innocent could be punished so severely.
Your children rely on you to be that person that says, no, you need to put your seatbelt on.
125, 620. As a paramedic, you wouldn't believe the things that we've seen.
I've seen all types of horrible things.
I mean, we're there basically picking up the pieces from your worst day.
Everyone is just driving and not paying attention.
We all have the same goal. All of us want to go home alive and safe and harm nobody else in the process.
Slow down. Be careful. Care about the other people on the road. Don't be the reason that someone else doesn't go home tonight.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. You know, Susan, over the last several years, we've seen Republican lawmakers here in Alabama and across the country want to change voting laws. Mm-hmm. And they do it under the guise of voter integrity and keeping the vote sacred and all kinds of things that they're saying. What we've seen time and time again is a way to suppress the vote. Mm-hmm. And now Alabama has a long, disgusting, and storied history of suppressing the vote. Mm-hmm. Since Reconstruction through the Civil Rights Movement in 1965 to today, there is still always an effort to suppress the vote. The latest effort came last session when they passed a law that said if you were disabled, if you were elderly, if you couldn't speak or were blind, you couldn't get anyone to assist you in getting an absentee ballot and filling it out unless they were a direct family member. So if you did that, you were breaking the law, and the person that helped you could go to jail. Mm-hmm. Now, the circuit court federal circuit court has blocked mm-hmm. part of that provision. So if you're blind, elderly, have any type of disability that might keep you from getting an absentee ballot and filling it out, you can get that for now.
For now. And I think that's a good thing. It's a very good thing because I always violating Section 2A, the Voting Rights Act, over and over again. And that's what this was, in an effort to try to keep those votes off the rolls, essentially, which they were almost very successful at, but thanks to the court, they're not going to be. So people can actually be able to vote like it was intended.
I mean, Josh, this is obviously in any thinking person's mind, this is a suppression vote because they want, they want to win elections by subtraction, not by addition. But Steve Marshall has come out and said he's going to appeal this ruling. I think we'll make it till November before they change it again. But what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think what people need to keep in mind is, number one, I believe this is not actually filling out the ballot. This is actually filling out the application for an application.
Oh, yeah, right. It's filling out the application,
Yeah, and so we're talking about simply applying for this. And so what's often done here is they've made this sound as though this is some nefarious process or some scandalous process where people are coming in and they're filling out ballots for people. What actually is taking place is you have a number of groups, a number of different civil rights groups that go out and they go into areas of different sections of the state and where there's not a lot of voter participation. And they have a get out the vote effort. And they take these folks and they show them, here's how you apply for a ballot. Or here's how you would fill out this ballot once it comes in. You pick your people, you do these things. Now, are these folks mostly going to be voting for Democratic candidates? Well, I think that's the thinking here, and that they're being pushed to vote for Democratic candidates. Maybe so. But again, mind your own damn business, okay? This is their vote, and if these people are helping them to participate in the process, leave them alone and let them participate in the process. This is not going in and filling out these things for them. This is going in and making sure they understand the process and how to participate in the government that we have decided they should be participating in.
And they lump it under this ballot harvesting to make it sound nefarious, right? That's what they do.
Yeah, that's a good name. It's a good scary name.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're out there just harvesting these ballots for the Dems. You know,
Yeah.
You know. I mean, shut up. You know, honest to God, shut up. Win elections by actually having policies that people like, and then you don't have to worry about nonsense like this.
You really don't. I mean, you really don't. It's one of those things that I say it time and time again. If you would win elections on ideas, you'd have much happier people.
Yeah, you would.
In your state and in your district.
Have you ever noticed? And listen, I'm going to say this. All right, and I just want you to think about this. And I want somebody to prove me wrong. Have you ever noticed that Democrats never, ever try to stop anybody from voting? No. They never have an initiative to block anyone from voting or to stack anybody off to the side or to squeeze anybody out. They never have an initiative to stop people from voting. Not
in the modern era, because if you go back, in the modern era, that is not a thing. That is a Republican thing.
Right.
But I would say, I can say with some confidence that today's Republican Party has a lot more in common with the old Dixiecrats than it did with the Republican Party of Reagan or Eisenhower, or even that of George H.W. Bush. Just not like that at all.
No, but even back to what we've got going on right now with Wes Allen and the immigrants that are legal residents of the state of Alabama, and we know one that actually got the letter.
They're legal residents of the United States of America.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, the United States of America. I get all wrapped up in this. But yeah, he received a letter that said that even though he is a citizen of the United States, he has to go re-register, even though he's registered already in this effort to get the migrants off of the rolls. They aren't on there.
It's already illegal for people that are not citizens to vote.
Right.
They wanted to pass another silly law like that recently.
But I told him, I said, you better go to the courthouse with that because I'm not sure that they're going to actually open the envelope.
Yeah. I wouldn't trust him.
No.
I wouldn't trust him at all. John Merrill, our former Secretary of State, came out with a column this week in the Alabama Political Reporter in which he said, hey, it's too late to change voting rules right now. Stop it. Now, I know a lot of our Democratic friends had troubles with John Merrill. I did not have any problems with how he ran his office. It will go down probably as the greatest Secretary of State that the state's ever had. But Susan, he says it's time to stop the nonsense. Don't change anything.
You know what John Merrill was about when he was in office? Getting people registered to vote. That was his main focus. He could tell you right down to the 1 millionth.
I thought that was going to go a different way.
And how he could tell you exactly the number that day that had registered to vote.
Yeah. Josh,
I thought that was going to go a different direction.
Be nice, Josh.
Yeah. All right.
Listen, all right. Look, I've said, I've written many times, John Merrill, for all of his, problems, outside of the office. For the most part, he was about as good of a Republican Secretary of State that we could ever hope to have.
Well,
all right. I mean, he followed the law. He tried to go out and get people registered. I think he actually cared about doing the job. That's one of the reasons why he was so hated by many of his Republican colleagues, was because he actually cared about the laws and actually cared about making sure that people could vote. Now, he said some crazy things from time to time. He did some crazier things.
Well,
I didn't say that.
He's not an angel, okay? He's not an angel.
All I'm saying is he did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, the jury's still out on Wes Allen, but unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it right there. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.